I was reading this book called A Billion Wicked Thoughts that was written by a bunch of engineers at Google, and they were looking at billions of Google searches, and there's no shortage of pornography on the internet, and there's much less by proportion than there was when the internet was first invented. And it's so interesting because it actually turned out that one of the things that drove the development of the internet and the technology was the proclivity of young men to search out sexually provocative images. That was what was at the forefront of the development of the net. It's extraordinarily interesting. They were motivated to use it for that purpose, and that provided the platform from which it emerged. Amazing. Anyways, the Google engineers looked at pornographic search processes and then segregated male searches from female searches, and what they found was that the males searched out images, the females searched out literary representations of pornography. It was written. I can give you an example of that. If you know about Harlequin romances, they're mass market romances and of a very stereotypical type. The original ones were pretty harmless in terms of no violence and no real sexual content, but that was 40 years ago, and they've differentiated tremendously, and now there's hardcore Harlequin romances, and with particularly garish covers, and then there's the old, more tame, basic, sexless and aggressionless romances where everything is implied and not explicit, but the explicit ones exist. So they did a plot analysis of the typical pornographic female fantasy. They discovered the basic plot of the female pornographic literary product. A innocent, well-meaning, and attractive young woman encounters a male who's a bit of a monster. There's 5 types of classic male monster. For all males who want to know, this is what you can become: vampire, werewolf, billionaire, pirate, and surgeon. There's predatory dominance that's implicit in that. With the billionaire, it's more abstract, but clearly that's an indication of very high success in the male dominance hierarchy. But there's this desire for aggression that's in that, a real aggression. The woman encounters this mysterious and aggressive male and tames him. That's the female hero myth, as far as I can tell. It's Beauty and the Beast. And so it's because there's no fun in taming someone who's already tame. And what makes you think you really want someone who's tame anyways? There's no interest in that. Plus, when chaos manifests itself, what makes you think that someone tame is going to be good for anything? And it's a real question, and so that aggression is absolutely vital, it's absolutely necessary. But because it's dangerous, which of course it is, it has to be civilized. And so what happens is that the archetypal female in these pornographic romances seduces and tames the aggressive male. And that's her encounter with chaos. Of course, females, they're more complicated, and that's exactly how it is, and it's no wonder because their lives are more complicated. It's not that easy to maintain sexual interest on a continuously rewarding basis across long spans of time, say with the same partner as we age, say. Fantasy can provide pointers to overcome that proclivity for the deterioration of sexual interest. I remember reading Raymond Chandler. He talked about the beauty industry and the fashion industry and the hundreds of millions of dollars, or billions of dollars that people spend on that, enhancing sexual interest, and came to the conclusion that it was all worth it because it's difficult to do. It's difficult to pull beauty into sexuality. It's difficult for each of us to maintain our attractiveness to other people. It's difficult under many circumstances to maintain being attracted. Fantasies, that's the part of you that has a proclivity towards sexual gratification, trying to make what it needs and wants known to you. And I would say incorporating that into your sex life is probably the best bet. Those are fantasies that you could hypothetically talk about with your partner, assuming that you have a partner that you could talk to about such things, and maybe that would free him or her up to talk about such things with you. And maybe your partner might be more interested in your fantasies and helping you along with them than you think. Take your cues from your fantasies. If you have fantasies about something that you need sexually, say, and those aren't satisfied in your life, they're not realized in your life, then when the opportunity to realize them comes up in the form of the possibility of an affair, let's say, or a betrayal, you're much more likely to be tempted in that direction than you would be if you had incorporated that into a broader conception of what your sex life might be. So, one way of maintaining satisfaction with a monogamous partner is to vary what you do with that partner. And if that variation is fueled by your mutual sexual fantasies, and then those fantasies are gratified, then one source of motivation to look elsewhere and potentially blow your whole life up and that of your partner as well while doing so is ameliorated.